Welcome to the John freaking Muir pod. Lace up those boots and sling on the pack for a romp through trails, short and long. With your host and Renaissance man, Doc. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail. I'm Doc, and this is the John freaking Muir pod. Let's start off with a reminder. If you are enjoying the podcast, take just a minute, help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not enjoying the pod, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's guests. Joining this week are a couple who claim that they are mediocre at a lot of things, but they never say no to adventure. That probably sounds very familiar to a lot of our listeners. They might be describing any one of us, including me. Welcome to the John freaking Muir pod, Erica and John.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm so excited.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming on. You've got a lot of great experiences, and I can't wait to talk to you about them.
Hell yeah.
Now, on your time on the trail, have you had the opportunity to pick up trail names?
Oh, yeah.
We did. Yes.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear the trail names and the story behind them. Who's going to start here?
Go for it.
I'll go first. So my trail name is Astro, and that was given to me by a couple people we met on trail. And I took my camera with me, and I would stay up and I would take photos. And I really like doing nighttime time lapses of the Milky Way, different things like that. So I like to shoot stars. And yeah, I showed them some pictures that I was working on. I think it was at Banner Peak. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they just said, "Oh, cool. We'll call you Astro." And so that's how I got the name.
Well, and plus, I know people listening to the podcast can't see it, but he has a whole sleeve that's Astro.
Yeah, the funny thing is they didn't actually know that. I had a long sleeve. I wore a sun shirt the whole time. And so they gave me the name Astro, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny." And Erica brought it up. She's like, "Oh, have you seen his sleeve?" And they're like, "Oh, no, we don't know what you're talking about." And so I showed them, and it's super fitting. I have pretty much outer space down my whole arm.
Wow. Now for those who are just listening to the podcast, hit pause right now. Go over to the YouTube version of this because Astro is going to hold his arm up really close to the camera here so we can get a real good look. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Lighting's fantastic. How long did that take to put on your skin?
Oh, I started probably like 10, 12 years ago, and I just did multiple sessions. I lived in Texas for a little bit. So I would fly out there. Once I moved back to Utah, I'd fly out there, sit for about 2 days, roughly, 8-10 hours sessions.
Wow.
And then every year I just come back and do another session. So it took some time. Yeah.
A long time.
I don't have the exact number, but it was a long time.
Yeah. Last summer, I got a life-size tattoo of myself. Came out really, really nice. You can see it was painful in a lot of places, but boy,
full body.
It looks good. So nice. That's a great story, Astro. And I have to commend you on being able to stay up to see the stars. I know that my first few trips out in the Sierras, I said, "Oh, I can't wait to see the stars." And I didn't make it to Hiker Midnight once. It was brutal.
Oh man, it was tough. It was cold, and I definitely thought twice about it.
I was asleep for
sure.
She
was out. I went to bed probably 11, but I was able to set up my camera and set the timer and do all that stuff. So I didn't have to stay up too late.
Yeah. Photographers out on the trail. I mean, really not just me with the iPhone out there, but real photographers out there that are trying to do good work. They are a different breed. I don't know if you listened to the episode with Josh Endress, goes by the handle JMT guy. He published a book called It Was Good. He told some of his stories about, the mindset of a photographer and having to get up at certain times to get to a certain location when the light was just right. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a whole nother level of backpacking there. So great for you guys.
If we do it again, that's kind of the plan.
Yeah, this time around I was pretty picky, and I didn't have all the energy all the time. So I listened to that podcast, and yeah, it definitely. There was times where I'd wake up and be like, "Man, I really should go get a picture of the sunrise and these peaks and everything." But I was so comfortable. I was like, maybe next time.
That's right. Nice. All right. How about you, Erica? Do you have a trail name?
I do. He actually gave it to me. My trail name is Streep, like Meryl.
Oh, okay.
I'm a very dramatic person in good and bad ways. Like I die like 5 times a day and everything's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And so we were packing up camp and I was probably hungry or something. And I was being dramatic and he gave me an Academy Award and called me. He's like, and the Academy Award goes to Meryl Streep. And it just kind of stuck. So yeah.
Well, Astro, in addition to being a night photographer, you're also a brave man. And this kind of gives us some insight into your relationship. You know, when she's having a dramatic moment, to call her out on that and give her the name Streep. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, to be fair, I did have snacks in my hand. So if anything were to happen, I could just throw them at her and then run the other way.
Yeah.
Smart. Nice.
Yeah, but dramatic in good and the classic dramatic way. I think there were a lot of times where I was just like blown away by things and I would, like just smack and be like, are you looking at this? Like, do you see how incredible it is out here? Like, I mean, like I cried at Lake Virginia. I was just like, this is so beautiful. And it was amazing. So Streep and it stuck.
Well, Streep, that is the appropriate reaction out there to see those things and just be like completely dumbfounded and amazed. It is. Yeah. These are sites that not many people get to see firsthand, and to be able to experience them is very, very dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So have you guys listened to the podcast before?
Oh, yeah.
We have.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a favorite episode? A favorite interview subject possible?
I feel like everyone says this, but I mean, Ginger Balls for sure.
Oh, he's awesome, isn't he?
We
so
joke.
Much fun.
We weren't even there, and we joke about the quicksand thing because we live in Utah. I'm like, quicksand, get out quickly.
Yeah, that was the first one I listened to, but that's what turned me on to it. And yeah, him talking about that through hike, just incredible.
Oh, the Hayduke Trail! Holy smokes!
Yeah,
that's the next level of craziness out there.
Yeah, I can't even fathom that.
He's a badass for sure.
Yeah. Now, as our listeners will know, as I'm saying it right now, because it's going to be a bonus episode that's going to air before your episode. Mm-hmm. We've got Ginger Balls and Scrapbook coming on to share their experience. They reconnected. If you've listened to the pod before, you'll know that they met each other on the Appalachian Trail. It was Ginger Ball's first long trail, and it was Scrapbook's third long trail. Scrapbook was just 21 years old at the time. And they had that classic moment where they looked at each other. And of course, Ginger Balls had brought everything because he's ex-military. He believes in redundancy, and if something were to fail, he wanted to have 2 backups for it. And so he's carrying this immense pack, and Scrapbook being his third trail, he's got like a 12-pound pack. Yeah. They're both looking at each other, thinking to themselves, "Oh, this guy's never going to make it." But they became fast friends, and they have just recently hiked the long trail in Vermont. So
I saw that on Instagram.
They're going to come on in a bonus episode and share their experiences, and we'll get to hear more from Ginger Balls. He is hilarious.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Okay. So I just asked about if you had listened to the podcast, not to elicit any kind of praise or feedback, but want to make sure that you are aware of a regular segment that we have called the Pro Tip Insight of the Week. Happens towards the end of the episode, where I'll turn to you and ask you to share a bit of wisdom, some kind of trail truth out there that will make our listeners' next outdoor experience even better. So don't be surprised when we get there.
Everyone's always surprised. And I said to him, I was like, when we get to the Pro Tip Insight of the Week, don't be like, I don't know where we are, Doc. You have to know because we listen.
I've been practicing all day, so I am ready.
Nice. Okay. Hey, another feature we've been doing this season is the Must Bring Gear Review, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company Outdoor Vitals. And here's how it works. I'm sure you're familiar with it because you guys have listened to a few episodes, it sounds like. If you were to let a stranger pack your bag with pretty much generic gear for a multi-day hike, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? And if you've got a particular brand for that specific piece of gear, even better. So, guys, what is your must-bring piece of gear? And I'm excited because I get to hear from each of you. We're going to get 2 must-bring pieces of gear today.
You want me to go first this time? Okay. I feel like all of our friends and stuff are gonna be like, really, again? Like, you're talking about this again, and you talked about it on the podcast before, but I'm gonna say a bidet.
Oh, okay.
We didn't use toilet paper the entire time we were on the John Muir Trail. And now it's like a staple of every adventure we go on. It's when you're out there being hiker trash in the mountains for a weekend or a week or however long, like it's really nice to feel clean, even though you're not getting a shower. So I love it's Kulo Clean. It's like a little tiny thing you pop on a water bottle, like a smart water bottle.
Okay.
And I'm cheating because I'm going to add another item that is a must with the bidet. Yeah. And that's
Astro's protesting already. She's going across. She's crossing the line here. She's adding more than one.
You don't actually get one. You don't get to bring anything because I'm doing two.
But maybe I would have mentioned it.
No, you wouldn't have. I'm going to say I think having a pea cloth or something like that. You were gonna say that. You've never used it. I would say so. Kula cloth.
Astro, do you use a pea cloth?
No. I'm gonna let her finish.
Okay.
But I'm still gonna say what I was gonna say.
Yeah, you don't go all Kanye West on Taylor Swift there. Let her finish, and then you can have your turn.
But yeah, so a lot of people have asked, because we post tips and stuff like that, and we talk about the bidet all the time. Everyone's like, well, won't you be all like wet and uncomfortable hiking after using that? And I, as a woman, I have a pea cloth that I've used for a while, and I started using that with the bidet, and it's like a match made in heaven. It's just like, it's so awesome, and 10 out of 10 would recommend to a friend. So Kulo Clean bidet and a Kula cloth pea rag.
Okay.
So
good combo.
Must-haves.
And honestly, my concern is not, hey, am I going to be wet the next hour while I'm hiking? It's my concern with a bidet, I just can't wrap my mind around it, is my aim. How long did it take you to perfect your aim with a bidet?
I was fine. I didn't have any problems. Like, it just worked for me. It not for John, not for Astro.
So I would suggest, if you're going to use a bidet, practice in your backyard.
In your backyard.
Yes, not your front yard. Don't practice in your front yard.
I have
backyard.
to be very specific about that, because if someone drives by, it's going to look really weird. So it was my first time using a bidet, and it was one of those emergency situations. And so I was running to find a good place. And the best spot, I was on this slant of a hill and trying to maneuver everything that is involved. It was a mess. I was spraying everywhere. My pants got wet. And I was like, am I going to have to do this every time? And so I think if I would have slowed down and just, took my time, but that was an option. Anyways, the aiming part was kind of a mess in two different ways, but.
See, that is my fear. That I'll be back there getting it all over the place. And when it's all said and done, I'll be no better off.
Just practice.
Yeah, practice. Okay.
Yes, please practice, because it is. It's bad. It can be bad, but it's good.
All right. Well, that's great, Streep. I appreciate the bidet and the pea cloth. Good combination. Astro, what do you have for us? And you know what? She took 2. If you wanted to do 2, you can also do 2. We'll give you that.
5.
I'm
just kidding. Okay, so I was going to mention to bring a rag to go with the bidet, because it is a little uncomfortable once you're done. Just to make it a little bit more comfortable, bring a rag. I would say my Columbia Sun shirt. I brought 2 shirts on the JMT, and basically that's all I wore was the long sleeve sun shirt. I didn't even bring out the other one unless I was doing laundry. That was a lifesaver, super comfortable, breathable, protected me from the sun. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've done a few hikes where I've gone with the old style hiking shirts, the long sleeve, button up, those kinds of things. I'm like, I just don't look cool in those. And so this past,
look cool on the trail.
I know, but still. But this past summer, when I hiked with my cousin Bindi and her fiance, now husband Yahtzee, he was wearing a sun hoodie, so a sun shirt like you're describing, long sleeve, lightweight, thin sun shirt. And we saw probably I don't know, two dozen other people wearing these sun hoodies. And I said, oh, I've got to get one. So I got to get one of those. And so I got one, and that's what I wore on the JMT this summer. And it's fantastic. I love it.
That's what I have. I have a sun hoodie, and 10 out of 10. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to make this guy look cool, but it did, it did a little bit for me. So that's good.
I would probably prefer the sun hoodie. She had one, and there was days where I was jealous for sure.
You pull the hood up, yeah.
Yeah. But the sun shirt did great. I had I call them penny hand holders or whatever, where you slide your thumb through and go over the top of your hand.
Right.
So it came with that, so I could protect the top of my hands. The other item probably would be my camera. As a photographer, I don't really go on hikes or go anywhere without it. And specifically, I use it's called a capture clip by Peak Design, and that is what I use to clip the camera to my chest or my belt, so I can carry it hands free. And if I need to get to it, I can pull it off, take a few shots, put it back on, and I can lock it, so then that way it's safe. And then a bonus for that is you can.
This is like 5 things? Oh, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. You can attach a carabiner to the camera, so if you did forget to lock the camera and it slides off the clip, it's still going to catch with the carabiner, but you still have the freedom to move it around.
That could have been a pro tip.
As I was saying that, I thought.
Nice. What kind of camera?
It's a Nikon 7Z. It's a mirrorless camera. And then I brought one lens with me, which was really hard to choose, but I brought my 24 to 70 2.8.
Okay. Now that quick release, I imagine, is very helpful when you've got a moose charging you and you want to get a quick picture of it before you start your retreat running zigzag to avoid it.
100%.
Okay, good.
You don't have to like, pause, moose. Will you stop charging me for a second? I need to get my camera
Just
out.
hold that pose.
The picture is the most important thing here. I got to get the shot, or no one's going to believe me.
Not going to believe me. Yeah.
Right. Hey, let's talk a little bit more about gear here. I've got a little segment called the hiking poll, and so this is where I kind of poll you guys on a few different items. See what your kit consists of. So our first item here is boots or trail runners.
Trail runners.
Trail runners. Specific brand?
I wore Hoka Speed Goat on the JMT. It was my second pair I owned, and I would trail run in those. Super comfortable.
Yeah, I've heard great things about those.
Super grippy. I don't know if it was, I can't remember what the phrase is, but I saw that shoe on more people on the JMT than anything. I probably saw like 20 people, and we'd all get really excited when we'd see each other, look down, and we all yell "Speed Go."
It was like a club.
It felt like a club. I took pictures with people. It was like, it was really weird, but super awesome.
So I don't have Hoka trail runners, but I do have Hoka 1-1 Mach 4s that I bought for the marathon I just ran. And then somebody reached out to me the other day and said, hey, you haven't talked about how you did in the marathon. So I'm gonna take a little side trip here and let everybody know I got these Hoka 1-1 Mach 4s. I bought them on a Saturday before a Sunday long run of 17 miles. And I was considering, hey, do I the first time I wear these, do I wear them on this 17-mile run, or do I go with my, ragtag falling apart shoes that my feet were really starting to hurt because there was nothing left in them. And I thought, well, let's go with the Hoka 1-1. So I ran in them for the first time, 17 miles, and they were fantastic. No problems whatsoever. And they helped me in the marathon as well. And I had run 3 previous marathons, and I had not broken the 5-hour barrier. And so that was my goal, was to do a sub-5 marathon. Ran in San Diego, and I came across the finish line at 4:58. So you can check that out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're brave, man. That's brand new shoes going that far.
Yeah, I took
That's
a
awesome
chance.
that they held up. Like that's pretty cool.
Yep. So can't say enough good things about Hoka.
I did not wear Hokas. I wore Merrell. Flight, I'm pretty sure they're called. And they did great. I loved them. I would like to, they were my first pair of trail runners that I've used. I used to wear hiking boots. Like on my first through, I wore hiking boots, and I've always just had boots. And everyone that I talk to and everyone, you know, that I know that does long trails is like, no, you got to switch it up. Try trail runners. And so I did, and I won't ever go back. I definitely, I mean, I think coming down Whitney Portal, my ankles were like, why aren't we in boots? But other than that, I was very pleased.
Yeah. Can we talk about that just for a second? You think that you are done the last 10 miles down from Whitney is, you know, it's all downhill and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be smooth sailing. This is going to be a piece of cake. That trail from Trail Crest. And even once you get down past, even once you get past the 99 switchbacks,
It's all
that it is terrible. It is terrible trail. That is my least favorite part. It's not part of the John Muir Trail, but that's my least favorite part of getting back to civilization is that hike back down to Whitney Portal. It's just brutal.
Vowed to never. I literally at one point, I'm dramatic. Remember, at one point I laid down and I said, I'm gonna die. I can't do this. Like, we're just gonna have to camp here. We were next to like a little stream, and I just like face planted into the grass. I was like, I can't. Everything hurts. Like, I mean, we had just summited Whitney. We're running off of like a few hours of sleep because we did a sunrise. It was just like, no, I will never do that. I don't know how people go up and down it in the same day.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
How do people, it is like, no joke, if you've done that, all the points to you, because that's so impressive. It is not an easy trail.
Yeah, my problem with that trail is that there is no flat foothold anywhere. You are always stepping around rocks, cracks, crevices, roots. There's not just a clean, simple dirt track in front of you. It's you have to watch where every single footfall goes.
Yeah, I had no idea it was that bad. I mean, when we were on top of Whitney, we're getting ready to go down, you know, I'm looking and seeing, okay, we have this many miles left. We have this much time. I'm like, oh, cool. This will be a breeze. Like, we just did the JMT. And the first hour, you know, going down, hitting the switchbacks, and we finished the switchbacks. And then we're like, okay, it should get better. And it really got worse. And then we're really just, you know, wondering, okay, do we really want to finish this today? And the only thing that motivated us was getting food at the end, knowing that there was, you know, cheeseburgers waiting for us.
The burger at Whitney Portal. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, it was a punch in the throat to go down.
It's a good way to describe it.
Agreed. Yeah. Yes. All right. Hey, back to the hiking pole. Tent or tarp? Tent. One person for each of you, or 2-person tent?
We share a 2-person.
2-person.
I'd be
interested to try
tarp. Yeah, me too.
But yeah, we did tent.
Yeah, I've done a tarp a few times in my quest to go ultralight. I've experimented, and I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube watching different videos of different tarp pitches, and there's a lot of ways you can set up a tarp depending on your camp situation and the weather conditions. So it's interesting.
That's so fascinating to me to have that many options with just a tarp, and you know.
You're scared of spiders though. I feel like you would not like the tarp life.
I am terrified of spiders. That is true. Well, you tried a bivvy.
I did do a bivvy. And it was rough. It was I was like, I don't even know what I was thinking. It was my first, I did the Uinta Highline Trail. And I took a bivvy and I was by myself. It was my first time backpacking by myself. It was my first time doing like a through, basically 7 days. Brought a bivvy, learned real quick that I don't want to use a bivvy.
Yeah, it could be a little constricting, right? And if you I had a bivvy out on the John Muir Trail this summer, and I've since vowed to not do a bivvy anymore. Yeah, I'd rather carry the extra 8, 12, 10 ounces, whatever it is, to carry a tent.
Oh, for sure.
Because in bad weather, especially, I mean, bad weather, you could sit in your tent and, you know, get by and pass the time for a little bit, but you know, you want to lay down in a bivvy in bad weather at, 3:00 in the afternoon or 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. When
you finally hit camp, and it wasn't appealing at all. So.
Yeah. Learned the hard way, but I did it. So.
Okay. We can check that off.
Yeah.
Okay. Sleeping bag or quilt?
Quilt.
I have a sleeping bag, but watching her on the JMT and how comfortable she was, like I'm gonna switch to a quilt. Like, I got jealous every night we went to bed, and I'm just in this mummy and I can't move. And she's just rolling around like, oh, this is so comfortable. Oh, I'm going to put my leg out. This is nice. Okay. Yeah, I was really jealous.
Yeah, I agree. Quilt is the way to go, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about stove or cold soak?
Well, we stove.
Stove. I don't trust anyone that's cold soaking and saying that they like it or that anything good about it. I just can't imagine doing that.
Astro, you and me, we're going to get along just fine, buddy. Because I've had a number of guests who have just sung the praises of cold soaking. And so I gave it a shot. And after day 3, I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. It's not fun. It's not fun to eat.
Yeah. But like a warm meal when you're in the mountains and it's cold out at the end of a long day is so, in the desert, I might be down to cold soak something like if it's hot.
Yeah, I could do like once or twice. Maybe I'm in a hurry and just got to make up some time and like, rough it. But to like know that that's all you're going to do, I just pack up and go home.
I'm incredibly motivated by food, so I'm not willing to sacrifice it.
That is so dramatic, Streep. I can't believe it.
I would probably die if I cold soaked.
Nice. Okay. Hey guys, before we get too far down the trail, let's back up a little bit. I'd love to hear about your background, kind of where you guys grew up, any sports or hobbies that you were involved in as a kid, how you got involved in hiking, and how you guys met.
Cool. We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you start.
Oh, share your origin story with us.
Okay, so I was born in Colombia, South America. And I moved to the States when I was 3. And I lived in Idaho, but eventually ended up in a small town in Utah named Roosevelt. It's about 2.5 hours southeast of Salt Lake City. That's where I went to high school, graduated, all that. Growing up, my family, we did a lot of camping and fishing and stuff like that. My dad was really big into fishing. We spent a lot of time with his parents fishing, doing stuff like that. And then on my mom's side, they were really big on camping. And every summer we'd go up to Idaho to a place called McCall, and we would camp. And yeah, so I pretty much grew up my whole life in the outdoors. And then through high school, I played sports. I played basketball, played football. I spent most of my time skateboarding, skateboarded through my teenage years into my 20s. I do a little bit here and there, but not as much. I find that I don't repair or get, if I take a fall, I'm down for a while, getting old. But
well, Utah is a great place to grow up if you are interested in the outdoors. I mean, talk about trails and just the setting out there is just amazing.
Yeah, well, in Roosevelt, where I grew up, we were about an hour drive from the Uintas. And so we'd spend a lot of time in the Uintas. And then we were close to Flaming Gorge, anyone that's familiar with that. It's a big reservoir up there.
It's like a mini Lake Powell.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh, nice.
It's more like Tahoe, I would say, but on a smaller scale.
It's not blue like Tahoe, though.
It's a big lake.
Yeah.
And it has a dam. It goes into the, I think, Green River. Can't remember. But we spent a lot of time up there.
Then how'd you get into all this stuff?
So from my 20s to my 30s, I didn't spend a lot of time outdoors. I spent most of my time actually drinking and partying and doing all that stuff. And so I kind of lost touch with the outdoors. And then I didn't start getting back into the outdoors until I was about 30 when I got sober and actually started climbing just shortly after I got sober. That was kind of like my distraction from everything else that was going on. And I would spend 4 or 5 days a week just climbing. And then eventually that got me more outside because then I started climbing outside, started trail running, I started hiking more, started backpacking, camping. And so that really just kind of pushed me more into that lifestyle. And I found that was more my identity after after I turned 30, and outdoors was kind of my life. And yeah. And then, how old were we? That was probably, what was it, 5 years ago we met?
Yeah.
5 years. We met climbing outside.
Okay.
She was climbing next to me. We're actually part of group me chat. So when I first started climbing, I had a friend that kind of took me under his wing, and he was my mentor, taught me everything about climbing. And through that, I met some other climbers, and we're part of this group me chat. So you would send out a message when you wanted to climb, and then we'd have 30 people on that group, and someone would respond like, yeah, I'm available, or I can do this or that. And turns out Erica was part of that group as well. And so one time I sent out a message to go climb, and she responded, and she's like, oh yeah, I can do this day. And so we made plans to go climb, and then
blew you off.
She blew me off. Something came up, she couldn't go climb.
I was in college, so I had a lot on my plate.
Yeah, so it didn't work out. But fast forward, maybe a year later, I'm climbing at a local crag, and it was October 29th, really late in the season for
weird time to be out.
Yeah, for outdoor climbing, especially in Utah in October. Usually it's way too cold, there's snow. But anyway, so I'm climbing, we're doing like a little barbecue with some friends, and she and her friend walk up, and they start climbing next to us, and her friend says her name, and I recognize it. I'm like, oh, is that Erica Yeager? And she's like, oh, yeah. So
my full name to all of them.
Everybody knows now.
I'll
have to bleep that out. I'll bleep that out.
No, you don't have to.
And she came down, and I introduced myself. I was like, hey, I think we know some of the same people. And I said, who we knew. She's like, oh yeah, I'm part of this group.
And then I was like, you're such a good friend.
And then, immediately put me in the friend zone, which is fine.
Oh, I was going to ask if it was love at first boulder.
No, definitely. I mean, I love you so much now. It wasn't. No. Well, we were in different places in our lives, and we were just really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
No,
that's what.
You don't have to sound so sure about it. Like, no,
she was quick about that, right?
Yeah. Don't get the wrong idea here. But yeah, that's how we met, and then we made plans to climb. Didn't work out. Anyways, fast forward 6 more months. I reach out again. We go on a hike. She likes to say, I thought it was a date.
He did think it was a date.
I thought it was just 2 people getting together, enjoying the outdoors. That's how, I mean, I remember even sending that text like, hey, it's just 2 people enjoying the outdoors. She's like, cool.
Trying to take the pressure off the situation. Right, yeah.
So we just became friends, and we started climbing a lot together, hiking, just doing a lot of outdoor stuff. And then fast forward a few more months, and she fell in love with me. And
the rest is history. Here we are 5 years later.
What's not to love, right?
I know, right? Incredible.
Hey, Astro, I've got some questions and some observations, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you talked about identity, finding your identity, and that you spent a lot of your 20s kind of identifying with alcohol, right? And then the outdoor experience and climbing became your new identity. I think that's a fantastic way to look at things, and being able to transition from maybe someone you didn't want to be to someone you wanted to be, and using the outdoors and bonding your identity to the outdoors. That just strikes me as just very powerful.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it was, I mean, I was kind of, I don't want to say forced in that direction, but I got a DUI when I was 30, and it was a pretty serious wreck. I was driving home from a party. It was 4 a.m. I passed out, fell asleep at the wheel, and I was 2 blocks from my house, and there's this roundabout, and I drive a Fiat, so it's a really small car, and I hit this roundabout, and it launched me into this yard, and I was just stuck. And obviously police showed up, everything, and they gave me a DUI. They actually let me go home. They let me call some friends because I was so close, and I went home. And I woke up the next morning, and first of all, I thought it was all a dream. So I went into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I had a goose egg because when I hit the roundabout, my head hit the window, bounced off, and that's when I came to, and I was, in the air and next thing in the yard.
Mhm.
And so reality sunk in right then and there. And I had to make a choice on what kind of life I wanted to live. I sat there and I was, this didn't all happen instantaneously, but I had a lot of decisions to make. And, I knew what direction my life was going in. And I knew that wasn't the direction I wanted to go. And I thought about, okay, what direction do I want my life to go in? And so I had to make the decision to leave all that behind and stop drinking and say, okay, this isn't going to get me what I want. And so it put me on this new path, which brought me a lot closer to the outdoors and everything that I love now. And then it helped me find myself more and learn more about myself as far as, what alcohol and alcoholism was doing to me and who I was becoming, and not being able to really be me. So I was able to use the outdoors and all the stuff that I love doing to be able to like bring the best of myself out.
Mhm.
And so it was a powerful experience. It definitely was one of the hardest things I had to overcome, because anyone that's had a DUI knows that they don't make it easy. They take away a lot of things from you. I didn't have, I lost my car. It was wrecked. I couldn't even drive it, but I didn't have a license. And I mentioned before, I'd go to the climbing gym. I sold my laptop to get a bike so I could ride to the train station, so I could take the train, so I could go climb, and then take the train back, ride my bike home, and I was doing that 4 or 5 days a week and just really focusing on that. And I'm super grateful that I made that decision.
Okay. And were you an alcoholic? Do you consider yourself an alcoholic?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't a person that would go out and have a beer with dinner. Like I typically wouldn't even drink beer. I would drink straight liquor. I would always have a bottle of Crown. That was my drink. I would just drink. I would say 90% of the times that I drank, I would black out. And I always thought I was a fun person to be around, but I don't remember a lot of the times because I'd black out, and I'd get stories about, sometimes I was fun and really cool, and sometimes I was not the best person. And so I would say I was an alcoholic for sure. And so I've been sober going on 8 years. So I was 30 when I stopped drinking, and when I got my DUI, that was the last time I drank. Like I had to just make that decision right then and there and know that I could not ever step back into that situation. And so I 8 years, going to be 8 years, February 8th. And like I said, it's one of the best decisions I've made.
Oh, congratulations. That's impressive. 8 years. I know that the outdoors we've talked about how, what a transformational power it has, what a healing power it has. And it sounds like it has definitely helped you in your situation. And we've also talked on the podcast about how addictive personalities really do well in the outdoor world. I mean, just planning and, obsessing and going down the rabbit hole. I mean, it's a very good outlet for addictive personalities.
Yes, I've been down plenty of rabbit holes.
But it's a healthy thing to channel your energy into. I mean,
That's
everything
right.
requires balance, but if you can do something that benefits your mind, your body, and your soul, like that's what you want to do in life, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. And Streep, how about your path? Let's hear your origin story.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't have like a cool outdoorsy growing up. So originally from upstate New York. My mom's side of the family lives there and they live on farms. So we would play on the farm, and they live on a lake. And so we'd play on the lake and do all that kind of stuff. Didn't really like hike or backpack. We would like camp in the yard and stuff like that. We were more the family that would like get together with all their other family friends, people, and like rent a cabin for the weekend and do that kind of thing. So I wasn't really like, I was in the outdoors, but I wasn't like camping and doing the stuff that I am now. So I moved around quite a bit, New York to Georgia. I lived in the UK for a while. And then when I was 16, I was like a teen from hell. My parents did as good as they could with what they were given, which was me. And they made a very difficult decision when I was 16, to find a residential treatment center for behavioral, for some substance stuff, and mostly like mental health. I was really depressed and really suicidal at that age. And they sent me out here to Utah, and that's how I ended up out here. I went to a residential treatment center for about a year and graduated that program and decided I would move out here. Moved out here, and I still really didn't do much in the outdoors. I had little experiences here and there, like little hikes and like small weekend trips like into the desert or something like that. But I wouldn't say that spark was ignited until much later. My story isn't as cut and dry as John's, where he had an experience and was like, oh shit, like this is not the way that I want my life to go. I'm going to stop. I went like the opposite direction. Let's see how far I can push this. And I made the decision to, after having gone to treatment and being sober for a short amount of time, I started drinking and partying again. And eventually that led me down the path of heroin and cocaine. And so I fell pretty heavy into that addiction for a while. I stopped talking to my family. They put up some pretty firm boundaries. I'm homeless. I was in jail. I went down a really dark path. Mostly trying to find myself and trying to find myself through other people and all these vices, and it just wasn't working, but I couldn't see that. I went to rehab several more times, and then finally something just kind of clicked. I did have that same moment where I'd been to treatment and I'd done the sobriety thing and I'd done the AA thing and I tried all these different things. And then I just got tired of it. I just was like, I'm so tired of, all my money and my time and my energy. And I had started to dip my toe in the water of the outdoor community. When I went to rehab one time, I met some people and I started climbing and camping a little bit with them. And that really resonated with me. It was a really that me that I was searching for in all the wrong places, in all these deep, dark caves of addiction. I was starting to find it in just the simplest things in the outdoors. I didn't have to do or be anything else. I just showed up and I got on the rock and I climbed. And if I didn't make it to the top, it wasn't like anybody cared. Maybe I cared, but I could push myself and I could figure out what I liked and what I didn't like, instead of worrying about what other people thought or, if I was enough in the situation. And so I finally just decided I don't want to live this life anymore. And I stopped. I kept drinking for a while. My addiction was tied pretty heavily to the people that I was around. I very rarely would use alone. And so I'm a little bit different, I guess. I'm not that I'm on a pedestal or anything like that, but I think I'm just my brain works differently, because if you're not doing it, then I don't want to do it. So, okay, let's just get clean. And I had that conversation many times with the people that I use with. It's let's just stop, guys. Let's not do this anymore. They didn't want to, so I did. And I started surrounding myself with people that wanted to do awesome stuff outside, and I started to find myself, and I just saw what life could be. And I think like I started climbing and doing some stuff, but like really when John and I connected, when Astro and I connected, I think that door just like blew open, and it like we together, our combined knowledge and experience being able to help each other. Like I mean, like I'm more of the canyon person, and he had been backpacking. I never went backpacking until like 4 years ago, and he took me and taught me what he knew. And then we started to learn together. And I think that was something that was just really, it's been really awesome in our relationship to kind of cultivate that and together, and to just fall more in love with the outdoors together. Like, it's awesome. Yeah. The life that we've created is pretty badass from where we've both been. Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, what a story. Upstate New York, right? And Astros in Utah, and by just the different circumstances in your lives, you both end up at the same place at the same time. And this is really a relationship with three. This is Streep, Astro, and the outdoors.
Oh, for sure.
It really seems that way to me. So, I mean, that is just so powerful and intriguing. I can't wait to hear more about your story out there on the trail. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get into some of your hiking experiences, and we definitely want to hear about the John Muir Trail. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. The John freaking Muir Pod is sponsored by Outdoor Vitals, the ultralight backpacking gear company whose mission is to improve the mental, physical, and emotional health of mankind by facilitating impactful outdoor experiences. Outdoor Vitals creates innovative technical products with confidence-inspiring education that empower outdoor ultralight adventurers. Their focus on performance enables you to live ultralight with gear you can actually be confident with. Whether you're looking for an ultralight sleep system, shelter, or pack, or if you're looking for top quality apparel for the trail, you can find it at Outdoor Vitals. Do yourself a favor. Live ultra light. And welcome back. We are talking to Astro and Streep, and it seems like we have a visitor who has joined us. Who is that?
This is Ayla.
Ayla.
Yeah, she's say
Ayla,
hi.
Ayla, say hi.
She's like, what are you doing with
Why
me?
are you doing this?
She is our border collie. And we have a husky somewhere around here. And then we have a kitten. She's blind.
A blind kitten.
Blind kitten. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
They're
border
very
collies.
adventurous like us.
Border collies. They're very smart and they have a lot of energy, right?
She has no chill at all.
She's very dramatic.
Okay, so she's 100% like me.
Yeah, 100%.
She is definitely my dog. And Nago is the husky. And he's like definitely him. They very much.
He's a little stubborn.
He's stubborn and just does his own thing, and they're cute. They adventure with us a lot.
Nice to have four-legged friends out there.
Oh, for sure.
So how do you guys finance your trips? What are you doing to pay the bills out there?
Okay, so like everything, we just sell our souls on eBay. No, I'm just kidding.
They're not worth a lot.
So I'm a recreation therapist. So in my journey, I talked a little bit about that. I experienced that as a client. It was really hard for me to sit down and talk about my feelings, but recreation therapy basically uses recreation and outdoor experiences and leisure opportunities as a modality for treatment. So I'm able to, or I have been able to, take people rock climbing and hiking and, or just something like painting a piece of pottery or going to a movie, things that, get lost in addiction and mental health primarily, and using that as a way to provide therapeutic experiences. So I work at a psychiatric hospital right now, but my majority of my career was in addiction recovery. And for personal reasons, I needed to take care of myself and kind of create some space there. So now I work in crisis management at a psychiatric hospital. I'm able to take clients. We have a ropes course. And so I take clients on the ropes course, and they can go, some of them can go on short walks around the property and such. And just really do work a lot with kids, about like 5 to 18 is what I work mostly with right now. So it's incredibly rewarding work. One thing that is really nice about my job is I'm PRN, which basically means I'm as needed. So I get to pick my own schedule, which is really nice. So for example, like we're going to Joshua Tree next week to meet up with some of our trail family. And I just didn't pick up work on those days, and I'll work all the other days around it. So that's
nice.
One way that really helps us be able to get out as much as we do.
That's perfect. I mean, that recreation therapy, that goes hand in hand with what we were talking about earlier, and just the healing power of those kinds of activities. And for you to be doing that as a career, and to be able to shape that around your own recreational activities, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Nice.
So mine's not as cool.
No, yeah, it is.
Okay, it is cool. Well, so I used to work at a company called Diesel Power Gear. I'm no longer there. I was actually let go as soon as I got back from the JMT. Without getting into the details, no longer there. So right now I focus all of my time on Adventure On, which we can talk more later. But I also own a jerky company. I started a jerky company a couple of years ago called Colombian Kid Jerky.
He's the Colombian
kid. And I'm the Colombian Kid.
It's him.
And
it's not Colombian kids that are made into jerky, just to clarify.
Good point. Good clarification.
No Colombian kids were harmed during the making of this jerky. And so, yeah, I've been doing that for a couple of years. And then, yeah, most of my time right now is focusing on Adventure On, focusing on social media, focusing on other things.
Building this awesome company.
Yeah, we'll talk about Adventure On a little bit later. But in terms of your Colombian Kid Jerky company, what kind of jerky can people find there? Do you have
right
special flavors or types of meat?
Yeah, so right now it's beef jerky, and I have a regular flavor. I also have a spicy, but I haven't released that yet. And right now I sell it on a Venture On website. And then I will start looking for more distribution, like gas stations, different things like that. Try to get it out there more.
Okay, so if a certain podcast host wanted to acquire some of this jerky, he can go on to Adventure On, the website, and order it from there?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
And if this said podcast wants some elk jerky, then I can also custom make, arrange that as well if he's into elk jerky.
Okay. This podcast host has never had elk jerky, so he'll have to, maybe we'll have to give it a shot.
I don't actually know.
She's a vegetarian.
I don't eat any meat, but I'm like, good for you.
Listen to her sell this. She's never even had it. Awesome. Nice job,
like the
Streep.
seasoning. I put the seasoning on tofu.
Can I tell a funny story about the jerky?
Please do. No. Yeah.
So when I first started this company, I was doing everything at home. And I had my own slicer. I bought a dehydrator, doing everything. And Erica wanted to help because it started taking off and I started selling a lot. And so I needed some more help. So I'm working at Diesel Power Gear and she says, okay, I'm going to slice the meat. I'm going to do everything. And I'm like, awesome. Tell her how to do everything. And just to remind you guys, she is a vegetarian. So this was like a really big deal for her to handle raw meat.
For majority of my life since I was 15. So, and I'm 31 now. So I'm like, I don't meat.
She doesn't meet.
She doesn't meet. Okay. Meat is now a verb. Okay.
Yes, that is meeting. So I come home and the slicer did something and there was meat all over the kitchen, meat all over her. She's crying. It's just the biggest mess I've ever seen.
That's awful.
I felt so bad. This vegetarian sitting in the kitchen, just blood, meat everywhere. Just like, I don't know what's happening.
Wow, it sounds like a murder scene.
Yeah, it was awful.
I mean, I was concerned. I was like, okay, are you okay? Like, what is going on? There's meat on the ceiling, meat against the wall. There's like,
I didn't know what I was doing, and the meat was slippery and gross, and I didn't want to touch it. And Well, it was rough, but I mean, we've outgrown doing it in our home or in like a warehouse. Like we had a warehouse, like a bigger space that we could house all the stuff, and we are lucky to have outgrown that, or he's lucky to have outgrown that and be able to work with a bigger company that can slice it for us. So
Okay, it's not in a
do it anymore.
It's not in a garden shed out back, is it?
No, not anymore.
No, okay, all right, not anymore.
No, it is up to USDA. Anyone is part of the USDA. It has its little tag, everything. It's legit.
Okay,
Don't come looking for me.
Glad we clarified that. Okay, hey, let's talk about some of your adventures. And we heard a little bit about your rock climbing experiences, but I also see here listed on the list, John and the 50K Ultra. And so I've run a marathon a few times, and as I was saying during the break, 26.2 miles is a long way to drive, let alone run. So I have the utmost respect for anybody who does even further than 26.2. And you've done a 50K. So John, tell us about that. How old were you when you did the 50K, and what kind of training did you go through to prep yourself for that?
Oh man, it was a lot of work. So I started running, it was 2019.
No, it was 20. The marathon was last year.
Yeah, but when I started training, towards the end of the year, it's like October or something. And I've ran in the past, but just a couple miles here, not like consistently. And I just decided, hey, I'm going to start running. And so I went out my front door and I attempted to run 2 miles. And with all of our other activities, I thought I was in shape. I was like, oh, I climb, I do this, I mountain bike, running, no problem. And the 2 miles, man, it was hard to go off the couch and try to run 2 miles. And so I don't even think I actually ran the 2 miles. I walked a little bit, and that just got me going. And you mentioned it before, like my addictive personality latched on to running. I was now going to be a runner. And so that's what I did. I would run 4 or 5 times a week. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on, which is funny because people maybe don't think about this. Like, I always thought I could run. Like, oh yeah, you just know how to run. You put one leg in front of the other and you just kind of run, But there is a technique to it. So learning that technique was super fun, and like how to position your body, where you're striking your foot, everything that goes along with it, because you run. So training started really slow. I would do a couple miles, and then I got to 4, and then the first time I ran 6 miles was so hard, and I was so exhausted. I remember coming home, and I was really excited, but I was pretty much useless.
Yeah.
And that was a really big moment for me. 6 miles, for some reason, that was like, 4 miles was cool, but for some reason 6 miles was just this mark.
It was a plateau. It was a plateau that you had in your mind, and you accomplished that.
Yeah, and being able to do that, I was like, okay, so now I run 6 miles. Cool. So yeah, I started looking up races, and I found a half marathon. It was in Zion National Park. I was like, okay, cool. I'll do a half marathon. Let's train for that. Let's set a goal, and I have something to work towards. And started training, started running, started adding the miles. I honestly used my Garmin watch for most of the training. It would tell me when to rest. I would track my heartbeat. Yeah, you know what's up.
I have a baby one. I'm part of the Cool Kid Club.
Nice. We're all for people who are listening, we're all holding up our watches right now to the television screen, the video camera, whatever it is.
We're on TV.
Yeah, we're on TV. There you go.
And I use that a lot for my training. And one thing I focused on is, my heart rate and heart rate training, and learning how to keep it in a certain area, and basically strengthening my heart to be able to push longer miles. Mm-hmm. So the race, I ended up missing the sign up for the race. I didn't sign up then because, in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe I can't do it, blah, 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 blah. And I started hitting 10 miles, and my long runs were 10, 11, 12. I was like, all right, cool, let's do this. And I went to go sign up, and I missed the sign up. And it filled up. So I was like, well, I just trained for the last however long, and I found the Salt Lake City Marathon. And so I was like, okay, sure, I'll just run a marathon. I've never ran a race. Let's just do that. So I signed up for that, and I made sure I signed up when I had the thought. I didn't wait. And I just kept, adding the miles, and it was weird because when I first started running, 2, 4, 6 miles, and then I wouldn't even go running unless I was planning on doing 10 to 13 miles. Once I got into like those long distances of like 20 on my long runs, like a 10-mile run was like, that was just, for me, it was kind of a walk in the park. Like, okay, now I'm warming up,
It was the new short run. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, okay, it's like me going out for a 4-miler, which was really cool. Like that was super motivating for me. And I'm sure a lot of people are like this, but you have these milestones and you hit certain things. Like you mentioned, 6 miles was my milestone. And that just kept motivating for more. I was like, okay. And I'm the type of person that likes to test their body and see like what it's capable of doing. And that just pushed me even more. And I was running 40, 50 miles a week, part of my training, just getting after it. And then the pandemic hit and they canceled the race.
Oh.
And they said you can run a virtual race. I was like, oh, so I can go run 26 miles, send you in my info, and you'll mail me like a medal. And that just didn't sound super fun to me. I had a friend that actually did that, and he went and ran his race, and he posted a picture of him pulling his medal out of an envelope, and he's like, where's everyone at? Like, I don't have anyone cheering. I don't have, like, I just have this, And so I missed the race. They canceled it, and I was still training, and I was running with some friends, and they're like, hey man, we're doing a 50K in August. Do you want to try it? And I was like, well, I've never actually ran any race, but sure, why not? Let's do a 50K.
And for our friends out there who may not be metric minded, 50K is 30 miles.
32.
32 miles.
Well, this one was 32.
Okay.
Wow, it was 32. We'll get to that.
There's a story with that.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Maybe it was supposed to be 30 because there was something happened.
Okay. And before you go to that story, I want to check with you and see if I'm unique or if other runners have this mindset. Whenever I finish a run, even, just, a 5-miler during the week, I immediately start thinking about the next time I'm going to run.
Oh, 100%.
Is that you too?
Oh yeah. And I'm like,
Not me.
It is always in my mind as to, okay, I've run now. Okay. I'm going to run on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to run this far on Saturday. It's always looming above me. I feel this pressure that I need to get that locked in and be working towards that next run.
Oh yeah, no, definitely 100%. And I'm really big on like statistics. And that's why I loved the Garmin watch, because it would give me this feedback. And I'm always trying to run faster or get a better average, or like, am I running a negative split, a positive split? Like looking at all these factors and saying like, okay, well, I want to do it this way. And, and I'm personally giving myself a grade. And, there's days where I'd go run and I don't run as hard as I wanted to, or I don't run as fast as I wanted to, or I did something and
it's a failure, right? You feel bad about it.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I can't let that happen again. Like, this is what I'm working towards, and once again, like I was super addicted to it.
Yeah, I didn't really see him for like this whole time.
Wow.
Every day I was running, and
I feel like there's more pressure on me on the shorter runs, because in my mind, I'm thinking it's a short run. I should be running fast. I should be having really fast splits. And so I feel this pressure to run fast, and I don't enjoy it. But then on my longer runs, I feel like that pressure's off, because it's not about speed. It's about distance at that point, and right. Pacing, you having the right pace and making sure that you feel good at the end of the race. So that's just the way it is with me.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a huge part for me that I didn't understand was pace management and refueling and like the science behind all those things.
Yeah.
because when I started running, I was just like, I'm going to run and, I'll drink water and I'll do these things. And then another rabbit hole I went into is like, okay, there's a lot of sports science behind these athletes that are running and when to refuel and how like what managing your pace, like your first 6 miles, okay, and now you want to increase your speed or like all these things that go along with it. And that was super fun for me to develop and almost, because when I got to the 50K, I knew exactly what I was going to do and when I was going to do it.
Right. I feel a little bit bad. I feel bad for Streep right now because you and I are nerding out on running and statistics and strategy. And she's just kind of looking on the outside looking in at us going, oh, gosh, these guys.
Yeah, I ran a mile last week and I thought I was going to die. I was like, the next day I was so sore. Is that what you do? Is this every day of your life? Are you this sore all the time?
Yeah, I started getting a lot of massages.
I don't understand. I'm trying to run. I'm mountaineer training right now. So I'm building my endurance by running and I hate every second of it, but I'm going to do it because the goal is worth it.
I just have to say, everyone hates it when they first start. Like it's hard, but I love it. Like I love it. It's such a good release for me.
Yeah.
But fast forward, I finally, I'm training, I'm running, and we get to the 50K. It's up in Idaho in Island Park. And I have a couple buddies I'm running with.
They're both a lot younger than him, by the way. Like, and this is just me putting him on a pedestal, but they're like 10 years younger than him. And anyways, to continue your story, keep that in mind. Continue your story.
Okay. All right.
Can you not say a lot younger? Like the emphasis on that hurt my back. Yeah, I mean, they're 10 years, 11 years, 12 years younger than me. And I trained with them a lot. But I was running, like I was dedicated. I was running a lot. So I get to the race. It's race day. We show up. Beautiful course. It's right by this lake. It's 35 degrees in the morning. Just really cold.
Just like, that's perfect.
Yeah, it was cold, but I really enjoyed running at that temperature because I didn't overheat. And 50K, 32 miles. I had to Google it. I'm pretty sure it's 32. I might have to Google it again. But running the race, making really good time. Running with my buddies for the first 10 miles. And then I'm like, all right, dude, I'm going to go. And so I picked up my pace. And my goal was to run a sub 5 hour. So in order to do that, it was like a 9 minute, it was like 9:15 average or something like that. I can't remember exactly. So through that, I'm pace managing, right? So I know how fast I ran the first 10 miles. So I was like, okay, I need to pick it up a little bit. The next 10 miles, I ran 8.5 minute pace. And then when I hit mile 26.2, this is the farthest I've ever ran. Because when I'm training, I've only ran, the highest I've gone
That's right.
22 miles.
Yeah.
You don't run a full race, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so it was my first time ever hitting. So I hit 23 and I was like, okay, now this is like unknown territory.
That's right.
I don't know how my body's going to react. I hit 24, I hit 25, I hit 26.2, and I'm clocked in at like 4.5 hours, maybe just under 4.5 hours. So I'm super stoked. Like, for me, that's a huge, that's great time, right? And then I'm consistent. I'm keeping that pace. And mile 28, I'm thinking, okay, so I have about 4 miles left. I'm coming around this corner, and I'm like, 4 miles left. I remember this turn because how they have the race set up, it's a figure 8, and you run it twice. So I'm coming around this corner. I'm like, I know the finish line is like close, but maybe they have us extend a different direction. And I come around the corner with 3 miles left now, and I see the finish line, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I should be going 32 miles. And I get closer, and Erica's there at the race, and she runs me in. She's running, cheering me on.
And he immediately looks at his watch.
And I go, what the hell's going on? I'm only at mile 30. And she's like, oh, yeah, they measured the race wrong. It's only actually 30 miles. And I'm like, I'm pissed. I'm just frustrated because part of the pace management is like, okay, I know the last 2 miles, I'm just going to I'm going to go leave it all out there.
Yeah. You could, the last 2 miles, you could have been leaving it all on the course.
Yeah.
You've been managing your pace.
Yeah. And
Well, I know what he's thinking at this point. I'm like, do you want to just keep running? Like, do you want to just go finish it?
And I'm like, hell yeah, I do. So I cross the finish line to clock in my time, and I turn around and I run 2 more miles. And I told myself I was going to run 32 miles today. That's what I was planning on, everything. And that's what I ended up doing.
And he beat both of his friends by like hours. No, I don't know how long, like a year.
They're still running.
No,
Astro, you are a madman. That's awesome.
Yeah, super fun. So to go off the couch, and I did that in under a year. I got myself ready to run 32 miles. I was probably like one of the biggest goals I have set for myself, and it was super powerful for me to have that experience, to have that kind of focus and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And there's plenty of days that you don't feel like doing it. And, you know, I got to the end, ran the race, finished, got my 32 miles, went soaked in the river. And the sense of accomplishment of completing that was just, I don't even have the words for it. It was unbelievable. It was worth every painstaking blister, day, missed out on different adventures and stuff like that. Like that was my thing for that year, and it was definitely worth it. I loved every minute of it.
I'm getting chills just listening to it. That was an awesome story. Thank you.
Yeah, he crushed it. Super proud.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Streep, let's turn to you for a little bit here. I want to hear about your Winter Highline Trail trip, and you soloed that.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I kind of know what I was thinking. So I turned 30 last year. Pandemic.
I remember 30. I remember 30 with fondness. That was a great year.
A long time ago.
That was.
I'm way older than everyone.
Yeah. You're pretty though.
Yeah.
So I turned 30 last year, and I tend to go through these phases in life, and he knows them very well, where I'm like, I just want to run away from everything. I want to go live in a van. I want to be in the mountains. I want to move away. I want to start over. I want to do something new. And he's great for sticking with me going through these phases, because he's like, I'm not going to do that, Erica. So you like that. It's not realistic for where we are in our lives right now. I'm the woohoo, let's go do whatever. And he's the like very grounded person in the relationship, which is needed most of the time. And so I was like, I was feeling all of this discontent, and I was like, oh, what can I do? And we had, for our first year, like dating anniversary or whatever, we had gone out and summited Kings Peak, the highest peak in Utah, which is in the Uintas. And
which we did the Utah side.
Yeah.
Typically most people do the Wyoming side, which is about a marathon, it's 26 miles. We did the Utah side, which is 50 miles.
And that was like my second backpacking trip, I think, ever.
And we did it in 3 days.
It was a lot.
Crushed
it. Brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal. I wanted to die. But when we were out there, the trail that we had taken crossed the Uinta Highline Trail. So I remembered hearing it, and people had talked about it. And it wasn't like, I mean, I feel like it's getting a lot more recognition now. But it wasn't very well known when, I feel like a year ago, even. Maybe it was. Maybe I just wasn't aware of it. I feel like a lot more people are starting to do it, because when I started researching it, I mean, I'm about to turn 30. I decided this a couple months before 30. I was like, well, I can't move away. I can't go just run around and be like homeless in the desert or whatever I wanted to do. What can I do instead? Where can I find that freedom and that empowerment? I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. Just came to me. I was like, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it by myself. And that was like going to be my time. And like this, like I'm turning 30 and like, oh, it's going to be this amazing opportunity. So I talk about it forever, and I'm like researching, and that trail isn't like, I mean, I got lucky and made some good friends on the trail, but it's not like how when you were on like the JMT or something where there's people all over the place. Like you're
right.
The probability of camping by yourself is pretty low. You can if you want to, for sure, but it's not like you're going to be out there alone. When I was researching the Highline Trail and talking to like, you know, people at REI that had hiked it and stuff, and when I'm shopping for gear, and they're like, oh yeah, like there's no one out there. Like no one hikes that part of the trail because people stick to very specific parts of the Uintas. And the Highline Trail kind of goes through the middle of the mountains, and most people stay on the sides and don't drop into that middle valley. It's a little bit harder. It's not as accessible as the sides are, if that makes sense. So
yeah, and was that true? That proved to be true?
For the most part, I ran into like a handful of people out there. But the first day, so I mean, we drive out there and camp at the trailhead. There's little camping spots at the trailhead. We camp at the trailhead, and I pack up and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. And it's literally, as soon as I was like, hey, bye, and say goodbye, I just started bawling. I was like, what am I doing? Oh, this is so scary. I'd never even camped alone. And I'm like, I'm going to go backpacking in the middle of these mountains by myself for a week. So cried.
And Astro, did you get in the car and just turn up the radio and whistle to yourself all the way home, or?
Oh, I couldn't believe she was doing it, actually. Because I knew that it was going to be challenging.
Yeah.
And we camped at Hacking Lake, and it was pretty chilly. It was cold. And
I'm in a bivvy. I don't know if you remember that. I'm in a bivvy. And oh my gosh, my gear setup was just absolute crap back then. I had a summer bag. This is September, by the way. September. Above, the entire trail is above like 10,000 feet-ish. I have a summer bag that I was like, well, I don't want to replace the bag. Like, I don't have money for that. So I'm just going to throw a liner in it. I'll be fine in a bivvy. I'll be fine. It'll be lightweight. I froze. It was so rough. So
did you have multiple layers of clothing on? Did you wear everything? Did you wear everything in your bag at night?
Yeah. I literally layer on, like, I had no idea. I didn't know smart. I was learning I've been on maybe a handful of backpacking trips. I'd only been backpacking for 2 years at this point. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to go and I wanted to learn. I wanted to do it on my own. Like, I brought a book, like a full book, and a journal and a chair. And I carried way too much crap.
Very bougie.
My setup now is like almost under 20. Okay. But back then my base was like a good 30.
95.
100 pounds. So the first day was definitely the hardest. I learned really quickly that the trail isn't like some of those more popular trails that you may go on, like the John Muir Trail. It was real easy to get lost. And I got lost within the first few miles. I had to be very aware. I had an idea of where I needed to go, but like the trail signs and the cairns and nothing was really lining up. So luckily I had like a GPS. I had a couple map options. I had a paper map, I had a GPS, and I had, I was using All Trails at the time. I had that map, which is never trustworthy, but I had it on my phone just in case. And so I'm like navigating myself through this mess. There were down trees everywhere. Nothing was cut. I had to keep hopping over trees. I'm just like, wow, I may have gotten myself in over my head. I get to my first camp spot. I made it the miles that I wanted to. It's a 106-mile trail, and I was going to do it in 7 days. So I was pushing myself. I made it to first camp, and I set up everything. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then some lady who she was our trail angel on the JMT. Absolutely love her. Her name is Trish, and her and her husband have been absolutely incredible. But she came out because there were fires in California, and she was going to go do a trip in the Sierra, but she ended up on this trail at the same time as me. So worked out really well. She walked past me. She kept going that day, right? And camped a little ways away, but I froze that night. I was by myself. I was terrified, first of all, like being outdoors and camping in the wilderness in itself is an incredibly vulnerable experience. But then I'm in a bivvy where, like, if a moose just like walks by, it's going to step on me. Like, it's a black bivvy on the ground. Like, no one's it's going to step on me. Or a bear. We don't really have bears out here. Mountain lions. I don't know. Or murderers. I don't know. I was terrified. So I'm freezing all night, and I hadn't researched enough. I knew the bivy was going to be lightweight. And because we at that point only had like a 4-person tent that we take with our dogs, which I couldn't fit in my bag and I couldn't have carried alone. And I hadn't really educated myself on how to use a bivy and didn't understand like venting and setting it up right. I just like threw it on the ground. I was like, zip, I'm good. I froze so bad. The whole inside, the condensation had nowhere to go. So it iced over and just like came down on me. I was shaking. I woke up at like, I maybe got a few hours of sleep. I woke up at like 3 a.m. It was so cold that I was shaking. And I hadn't learned at this point, like boil an Nalgene and throw it in there with you. I had little hand warmers and I was trying so hard, but I literally shook uncontrollably until the sun came up. And I remember looking out and just being like, I've never been so happy to see the sun ever in my life. Like as soon as it was where I could get to it, I got out and I ran over to the sun and I sat in the sun. And then I was shaking for like 4 hours at this point and I was physically ill. So I'm like not doing well. I'm throwing up. I'm like going to the bathroom all over the place. Like it was not good for me. And I couldn't eat. I couldn't stomach anything. So this is the first day. Okay. And we're on to day 2 now.
That's day 1. But Streep, other than all that, I mean, are you having a good time? You having fun out there?
We had a Garmin, right? And I messaged her. I was like, what am I doing out here? Who said this was a good idea? Why did you let me do this? And he's like, okay. And I'm about to hit Chapetta Lake, which would be my last access point for him to come and get me. That's it. And then it's straight through unless I go off side trails, right? That was going to be my last point for him to meet me. I was like, you need to come and get me. I can't do this. Like I'm hiking on no food, no sleep, having had a rough night and I'm out here by myself. I have no one to be like a motivator because, you know, we've done trails together and having a person with you, I mean, even just the people you meet on trail makes the world of difference to motivate you, to keep you going, to kind of get you out of your own head a little bit. But I guess that's kind of why I chose to do the trail solo, was I wanted that time to work through. So I'm crying the whole next day. I'm like, you need to come pick me up. And I sit down and I get to the lake and he's like, do you want me to? And I was like, no, if I need to, I can leave again. I'll hike out another trail. Like I'm going to keep going. I stop, I filter water. I still haven't been able to eat at this point. And I'm about to go over a pass, North Pole Pass. It's like 11.5 or something like that. I can't remember the exact elevation. No food. I couldn't eat. And I don't know if you remember this, but I am very food motivated. I eat a lot of food when I'm hiking. Like I need it. I get hangry if I don't. And it just I was so sick that I couldn't. And I kept going and pushed through and went over that pass and literally didn't eat the whole day until I got to camp the next night. And that's when I ran into Trish and Gourmet, who he actually, shout out to Gourmet, he just finished the PCT. So he's done the AT and PCT now. Pretty rad dude. He's hiker trash through and through. Definitely, both on and off the trail. And he taught me a lot of things that I didn't know about through hiking. And then Trish is an absolute incredible person as well. So shout out to both of them. I met them and we all camped together and they were like, oh, have you tried this? Or, oh, okay, why don't you boil your Nalgene tonight and sleep with that? And they just taught me things that I didn't know. And I didn't hike with them every day, but we kind of jumped around each other and kind of camped in the same area. And that's, I think, when I fell in love with the through hiking concept. I had heard about big trails before, but being able to be with people and be a hot mess in the outdoors where you're all going through shit and just I don't know, getting to camp every night and seeing people and connecting just so raw and authentic. And yeah, just I know people talk about it all the time, but really that is at least for me, that's why I get on trail. That's why I through hike. That was what I was looking forward to the most on the JMT when we did it. And I definitely got that sense of family on the trail. And it was a really powerful experience. I got pushed out by a fire, so I didn't get to finish. But I've done the other section of the trail back in. So I've kind of connected the pieces, like I don't know, the yo-yo version of it, I guess. Flip-floppy thing.
Sure, flip-flop. Yeah.
Sure, I don't know.
Yeah.
I went this way and then I went this way and met in the middle, kind of. So, but yeah, it was an epic experience.
Sounds like it. One of my favorite parts of hiking is that at the end of the day, you turn around and you look at where you came from and you're like, I came from way over, it could be over that mountain way in the distance. And just knowing that, the power of your body has taken you from point A to point B, and you've put in the hours and the effort to do that. It's just so satisfying.
Sure. I mean, I think that was one of the coolest things, standing on top of Whitney, right? Because we ended our JMT on Whitney.
So powerful.
Being like, whoa, we came from over there. I don't even know if I can see it, but way over there, we walked through all of these mountains. And then driving from Whitney Portal all the way back into Yosemite Valley and just passing it. Like, I walked this. That's crazy. Yeah. It's definitely a super rewarding part of this.
Yeah. And then when you take a look at a map and you can see the trail, and it's just so small compared to like everything around it, you're like,
right,
holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just ask the question right now. Any long trail aspirations? PCT in your future?
I definitely want to. He's going to take some convincing. He's like, maybe, well, how would that work? He's a logistics person.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely the grounded one. I'm like, let's go right now. We'll just do it in the winter. It's fine.
Oh, let me grab my bivvy. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm really big on timing. Like, it's got to make sense. There's got to be a lot of things that align to be able to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we have the dogs and stuff, and it was so hard to leave them for 3 weeks. I don't know if we could do 6 months with them right now. I think that would be the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is leaving the dogs. They could come for sections of it, but
yeah, it's easier to leave kids behind than dogs.
Yeah.
No, don't tell my kids that.
Give them to my parents and they'll be fine.
Hey, let's skip ahead. Let's skip ahead to the John Muir Trail, one of our favorite topics on the podcast here. I want to hear about your experiences out there. I want to make sure that we leave enough time to hear about Adventure On too. So
yeah.
Okay, so I just heard from you 3 weeks. It sounds like you went southbound. You started Happy Isles?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we got the golden ticket.
Got the golden ticket. Nice.
Super lucky. Oh, so grateful. Half Dome too was included in that.
Did you do Half Dome?
Yeah.
We did.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, that first day was
a lot.
So yeah, take us through that first day. If you got Half Dome permit and you leave from Happy Isles, what does that first day look like?
Yeah, so we stayed in Lee Vining actually because we didn't want to camp. We wanted to sleep in a bed one last time. So we had to drive into the valley in the morning, which was like a 2.5 hour drive or something like that.
2 hour drive. But we got up at 3, got to the trail about 5. Yeah, the sun was just coming up, and we started the trail. We had a full pack, everything, and anyone that has climbed out of Yosemite or Happy Isle knows that it's just a staircase. You're just a stairmaster.
That's right.
For 5 miles, 3,000 foot elevation, and that's just to base camp to Little Yosemite, and then
we dropped pack and hiked up to Half Dome, which was so epic. I don't know why people don't talk about it more. Everyone talks about Angel's Landing. No, y'all need to start talking about Half Dome because that is a whole nother. It's just it's a fun hike.
It's fun, hard. But it is crazy.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
Sub dome, just brutal.
Yeah, I go up on the cables. I had heard about the cables, and I think I had read somewhere that they're at 45 degree incline. It seemed like it was 70 degrees in some places, and I'm not wearing any kind of safety equipment. I've got gloves on, and people are coming down. At the same time, people are going up, and you are just hanging onto a cable on the side of a rock. It is nuts.
I think because we're climbers, we loved it.
Yeah,
it was
epic.
It was challenging. It was a long day after climbing up out of the valley and then up to the Half Dome and then going up the cables. But it was epic.
Yeah.
Super rad.
Mhm.
So it was a really awesome first day. And then, I mean, we went swimming and chilled and hung out and met some people. And
Yeah. What time of the year was this? What was the dates of what were the dates
our
of your
start
trip?
date was August 8th.
Oh, okay. August 8th.
Yeah. And then we summited the 27th. I think we were a day early on our permit. We had an extra day, but we decided we wanted food.
Nice. Well, let's talk about some of the highlights and lowlights on the John Muir Trail. What were some of your favorite moments and what were some of your most challenging times out there?
Oh, Baby Deer Meadow.
I forgot about Baby Deer Meadow.
So we BDM, it became a joke with our group because I was like, everyone, you hear about BDSM, like BDM is where
oh wow,
it's at.
we're going there. Okay.
It just happened.
Yeah, so Baby Deer Meadow. No, it's not sexual. It's
Okay.
actual baby deer
Okay,
in
good.
a meadow.
Okay.
It's exactly what it sounds like. So outside of Tuolumne, we didn't make it to where we had planned to. We wanted to get to kind of like there's like that meadow below Donahue. We wanted to get there, but we learned the hard way to stop and take care of ourselves as we were hiking. We were just like, let's push through, let's get to the destination, let's go, go, go. And we had done trails, you know, where we're cramming 50, 60 miles into a long weekend, and then coming home and resting. But we hadn't done this kind of thing where you're going for a long time. And so we get to Tuolumne and we stop, but like, we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not taking care of our feet. We're not taking care of our bodies. We're just pushing. And so we didn't make it to camp. Our feet were hurt, everything hurt. I thought we were going to die. I think that was the only time that I actually was like, holy crap, are we going to be able to do this? We're on like day 3 or 4. Like, I don't know if this is possible. But we get there and we set up camp and we're by ourselves and we look out.
This is at Tuolumne?
This is, you know, up Lyle Canyon.
Okay. Yeah, Lyle Canyon. Got it.
Yeah, like kind of right past it's Lyle Canyon.
It is Lyle Canyon. I'm
Yep.
just trying to think of that intersection. I thought it
Oh
started with
yeah,
a V.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we get there and there are baby deer everywhere. I've never seen so many baby deers in my whole life, and they were so cute, and they were just like prancing around, like not coming up to us. I wish they would come up like Snow White in this situation, but there were so many of them and they were so cute and I couldn't handle it. And I was just like, this is the most magical meadow that I've ever seen in my life. Look at all these baby deer. And for as much pain as we were in, going to sleep with all the baby deer around, and then we woke up and they were just all like, the sun was glistening and it was like a fairy tale. It was seriously a fairy tale. The sun was glistening and they were just like walking through the field and being cute, and it was awesome. That day was incredible because then we went up over Donahue, which is beautiful, absolutely beautiful pass, and dropped down in, and I think, did we get to Thousand Island that day? Yeah, I think we did. I think we went all the way through to Thousand that day. So that was just like the most epic day.
Yeah, Baby Deer Meadow. It sounds like, Streep, you got what you needed when you needed it. I mean, you were kind of at a low point, and then just the magic comes out and kind of sustains you a little bit and motivates you to keep going. And then the other side of Donahue, in my mind, I've been through that area a few times, and it just reminds me of the Shire in The Hobbit. It just seems like a magical area, really, really picturesque and just beautiful.
Yeah, I love Banner Peak. That was probably a highlight for me, getting to Banner Peak and setting up my camera. And it was like the perfect condition to get nighttime shots. And the moon, it was right after a new moon, so the sky was really dark. The Milky Way was positioned right over Banner Peak. And so I did a time lapse of the Milky Way just moving throughout the sky over Banner Peak and having the clouds come in and different things like that. And so that was like, that got me going because I was super excited after that.
Now, Astro, you're gonna have to send me that picture so I can feature that in the week leading up to your episode on our Instagram account.
Oh yeah, I definitely can. I can send you the little short video clip and
fantastic.
But yeah, it was definitely something we needed because day 3 was hard. Like day 3 was really challenging. We didn't get our hiking legs yet. And so, yeah, we definitely needed a little pick me up.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think like other highlights were, I mean, I said it earlier, I cried at Virginia Lake. It was just absolutely beautiful.
We had one of the best sunsets, sunrise and sunsets at Virginia Lake.
It was incredible.
It was beautiful. It looked like there was a storm that was about to roll in, and then it just went the other way. And then the sun hitting the peak in the distance behind Virginia Lake. And then, you know, you got peaks all around you, and then the sun setting and the different colors. It was just beautiful.
Yeah. You try and show people pictures, you try and describe what it's like out there, and they just don't get it. I mean, it's, you know, nothing against them. I mean, they can't understand.
And we sat there. I mean, we got there fairly early. I think we ended up picking a shorter day because it was so beautiful, and we were able to set up camp, sit there at the lake, and just watch everything and actually take it in. And I think that was really powerful for us to be able to keep pushing.
I mean, it was so beautiful. We stayed in the morning too. We typically got on trail and started moving by 6:37 at the very latest.
Yeah, I think we stayed until
like 8:30 that day.
Oh,
just
wow.
like taking it all in. It was
late start.
Yeah, it was so worth it though. Like, cause we would get up at 5 and then just like mosey around camp, but just watching the sun come up and watch and just being able to be there at that lake was beautiful. And then my absolute favorite part of the trail, like trail wise, was Palisades, like lower to upper. We were there at the perfect time, right? Is that Palisades?
Palisades Lakes?
Yeah. That's where we camped. That's where you did the cribs thing. We were there at the perfect time, and it was just like magic. Like it was one of those places where I literally had like 500 of the same video, because I was like, look at this. Oh my gosh, look at it. It's amazing. And it doesn't do it justice, but the sun was hitting the lakes just right. And that trail going up where you're just kind of on this like granite face, and it's just above the lake, and it's just absolute beautiful place.
Where did you camp at Palisade?
Upper. We camped like there's a little stream and some dirt areas. I mean, like, there's a lot of dirt.
Stream and some dirt. Okay, got it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But there was a little stream kind of right there. It was the last water source before whatever Mather Pass. Is that what passed?
Mather Pass. Mather Pass. So you camp closer to Upper Palisade Lake or above.
Upper
Palisade Lake.
Sure.
Got it.
We stopped and swam in Lower Palisade and then kept going.
So did I. I was there. I was there probably a couple weeks earlier than you.
Yeah.
That was right after the Golden Staircase.
Yeah, Golden Staircase.
Right.
Another highlight, I think, one thing we try to focus on too is finding a nice place to take lunch and swim
every day.
So we would always
that's why we rolled into camp so late every night, is because I was like, I want to swim.
We'd spend an hour eating lunch and swimming.
Did you take the plunge every day?
Every day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I think like when we resupplied at MTR, no, we did that day. We did at the bridge. Yeah.
Because we went at the bridge. But there was this one place, and I wish I could remember exactly where it was at. We stumbled upon it. I think it was after our MTR supply.
Oh,
it had a waterfall into this bowl, and
bear something. Bear sounds right. I don't know.
Something like that.
It's a secret spot. You can't find it.
It was deep enough that you could go under. But
and the waterfall, you could sit under it.
Get under the waterfall. It's like taking a shower. But we swam and ate lunch, and that was probably one of the best swimming holes on the whole trip.
And our friend that we were hiking with, one of our trail family people who he wouldn't get in the water anywhere.
Never swam with us.
Finally got in the water with us.
That was the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Never got in the water again.
That water is cold. I took the plunge 3 times on this last trip, and boy, that water was cold.
Oh yeah, it'll get you going.
Yeah, it is definitely not warm.
Mm-hmm.
Did you swim in Wanda?
No, I wanted to. So I sat on the edge. I wanted to so
cold
bad.
That day.
It is the most beautiful. Like it's like you think you're in the Bahamas. It's so clear and so. Oh my gosh, it was incredible.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite spots on the trail is Wanda Lake. That's just
it's just
both. Yeah, both. What's the other one on the other side?
Helen.
Helen and Wanda are both incredible.
Mhm.
Oh,
And you know
beautiful.
why they're named Wanda and Helen.
Yeah.
They're kids, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, John
Yeah.
Muir's daughters.
His daughters.
Yeah, daughters,
Yeah. I wanted to swim there so bad, but it was pretty early in the morning when we were there, and it was pretty windy and cold still. So it was a little bit of a turn off for me. But when I go back, I will do that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Other highlights, or should we skip to Mount Whitney?
Um,
Highlights. Oh, we had a marmot neighbor. His name is Ralph. And he hung out. He actually has a girlfriend that came out and played too.
oh, I got
Oh, the
one.
bear one?
Yeah, so it's towards the end, day
Same
17.
spot with Ralph. This is where this occurs.
Same spot as Ralph, of course. We're going to bed.
Where is this?
It's
Tyndall?
Yeah, Tyndall Frog Ponds or Tyndall.
Yeah. Up
Yeah,
there.
that sounds
yeah.
right.
That's
yeah.
where
Mhm.
Ralph lives.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So we're going to bed. It's probably like 9:30, and yeah, we're laying there and we hear this twig break.
Okay, give him some context.
It's
first, though. He takes season.
No,
Okay, fine, go.
Uh-oh.
So
This is fascinating to watch these two.
so a twig breaks, and we both kind of just stop. We're like, "Oh, did you hear that?" And then we hear this like snarl, kind of
Like
sniffing
and
snarl,
grunting
but like
around.
kind of deep. And we're like, "Okay, what is that?" And it sounds pretty close, right? And we hear it moving around, and then it stops. And we're laying there. We're like, "Okay, what? Is that a cougar? Is that a bear? Like, what is that?"
So we go, hey bear.
And so we're doing, hey bear, do all that thing, and we can hear it moving around. So every few minutes we'd hear it move, and then we'd kind of settle, and then it would move again. And Erica is terrified. I have never seen her this scared.
I had my knife.
She had this little pocket knife that was maybe,
No, it's bigger than
it
that.
was 2 inches. The blade was 2 inches.
It's not.
She's
It's bigger.
holding it against her chest, and she's trembling, just shaking.
I was ready to fight.
Just like having this,
Adrenaline.
yeah. And I have trouble sleeping. I have insomnia, so I take sleeping meds. And of course, I took those bad boys like 9 o'clock. I'm ready to go because when we say it's bedtime, it's bedtime. And I'm trying to
He
stay
falls
awake.
asleep.
I'm trying to stay awake. She's like, there's a bear out there. I got my knife, and she's shaking. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And I start dozing off as she's hitting me. She's like, are you falling asleep? What are you doing? Wake up. There's a bear out there.
Because it didn't leave. Like we said hey bear several times and it like kind of disappeared, but then came back.
It was probably like 45 minutes at least.
Just yeah, it was
And-
not going anywhere.
And she trembled for so long that she had to go to the bathroom. She
I'd
had
be
to
so
pee.
mad.
She shook it out of her. And so she's like, oh no, I have to go pee. You need to go out there and check. And I'm like, why do I need to go out there and check? She's like, go out there for me, make sure it's gone. And I'm still half asleep. And so I go out there, shine my light, don't say anything. She comes out. And that was the close encounter we had on the trail.
We didn't see any bears,
We
but
didn't see any bears, a lot of marmots, a lot of deer.
Astro, you didn't jump out from behind a tree when she was finished peeing?
oh my God, you should have
she
scared
went
me.
like 5 feet from the tent. She
Yeah, I
wouldn't
wasn't
even,
going
she wasn't gonna go anywhere.
I was not.
She
I
was
was
like, you stand right next to me so the bear gets you, so I have time to pull my pants up and run.
well, also like in my mind, my dramatic mind, I'm like, okay, so if this bear's not leaving, and like I feel like when I hear about it and read about it in books and see it in the TV, people say, hey bear, and the bear goes away. This bear is not going anywhere, so it must not be a bear. I'm like, next thing in my mind is like, it's murderers. They are coming to get us. And I don't know if you are familiar with the Dyatlov Pass.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, that's happening to us right now. So 0 to 100, I'm just like off on all these like different scenarios that are going to happen. And he's falling asleep.
I'm just trying to sleep. It was a long day. We've been 17 days up there.
Streep, you go to some very dark places very quickly.
I'm a big true crime
You
person.
have no idea.
Everything is death and
Everything's
murder.
a murderer. Everything.
I take comfort in the fact that you're out there in the middle of nowhere, and so that is a long way to travel for a murderer to find a victim.
Dude, that's
People
what I'm
do
saying.
it.
Like,
People do
I know bad things have happened out there, but I'm gonna look at the glasses half full. That
yeah, for sure.
there are a lot easier targets out there,
yeah,
closer to
people
the
don't
city.
have to work that hard.
Right.
I don't know, but that's where my mind was going, especially to the Dyatlov, however you say it, that pass. And if you don't know what that is, definitely look it up. It's a very interesting thing that happened. That probably was basically that was going to happen to us. That was happening. We survived though. So.
All right. Hey, before we move off the John Muir Trail, tell us about getting to the top of Mount Whitney. What kind of experience was that for you guys?
Okay, so we camped at Guitar Lake, and awesome, so beautiful. We had another really gorgeous sunset. We went swimming. We thought it was going to be freezing, but it ended up actually being kind of not warm, but not that cold.
Disneyland for marmots.
So then we went to bed and we decided, okay, we're going to wake up at 1:30. We're going to get on trail at 2, and we're going to go for the sunrise. So we get up, pack everything up, and we think it's going to be frigid. It was actually not
it wasn't that cold. No.
We go up, and Erica started feeling a little sick from the altitude, and lack of sleep, and just 19 days, 18 days out there. And so we started taking our time a little bit. Once we get to the trail crest, I sprint ahead because I want to try to get up there for sunrise, set up my camera, take videos, all that stuff. And that trail going from Trail Crest to Whitney is just absolutely amazing. It's so cool.
Almost makes up for how brutal Whitney Portal is.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, especially when you start seeing the sun kind of hit the horizon and hit those peaks.
Oh, beautiful.
So amazing. So we cruise up, make it up to Whitney right when the sun is coming up.
Well, I moseyed my way there. I stopped for a little bit to try and let myself, I didn't want to push it with the altitude. We've summited higher. We've been at 15. So I was like, I know I can do this, but every mountain is different. Every day is different. So taking my time and I think that's something like everyone should do, like no matter what's happening, like if you start to feel that the signs of altitude, like just pause for a second and check in. So I did that. I moseyed my way up, and he got up there and took some pictures, and then I met him. And it was pretty rad. There were a lot of people up there, some people we had met along the trail and stuff. And I had made homemade cookies and vacuum sealed them and sent them in our last resupply box for us to eat on the summit. So we brought homemade cookies and hot chocolate, and we sat up there, and we actually stayed there. Everyone else left. So we actually had the summit to ourselves for a little bit, which was really nice. We just sat up there and watched the sun continue to rise, and
unbelievable.
Ate cookies and drank hot chocolate, and it was
the amount of peaks that you see from that vantage point is just insane. Like I had no idea. Like it was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So many peaks, and you could see where we came from.
Yeah.
And you're at the highest point, so everything is below you. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And 19 days surviving the trail together.
I think that's just like, I know that the true trail or whatever technically goes from the summit to the valley, technically, but I would rather start and work my way towards that incredible finish.
That
like
payoff.
It is so, and plus I'm really glad we did that to give us those passes to kind of acclimate, you know. I think that's a smart way, at least for me, it was a very smart way to do it.
Well, I've said this to other couples that have been on the podcast before, and that is, there's no hiding out on the trail from each other. And, you're at extreme highs, extreme lows. There's a lot of stress sometimes. And if you see each other's true selves, and if you guys can make it through that, you guys can make it through anything. You guys are a forever couple.
We'll see. Our wedding is in April, so we still have a few months to call it off.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, but we definitely, we had like breaks from each other. I think that's super, super important. That could definitely be a pro tip, but I'll give you another one. I think,
gonna be mine.
Oh, damn. We had space where we each had our own book that we downloaded, or I actually had podcasts. I had your podcast too. And where we would take breaks from each other throughout the day and just say, like, he hikes faster than me because he's a runner. I do not run. That is not my thing. And I hike slower. So we would, he would go and I'd meet him, and I think that was a really big, we definitely got into some arguments on the trail. I think that was when the hiker hunger set in.
Bound to happen. Yep.
But I think we did a really good job overall, like managing and navigating that, because you're absolutely right. It is, whether it's your significant other or a friend or someone you meet on the trail, like being with one person for that amount of time can be challenging.
It's not only just the time, it's the environment and what you're putting yourself
exactly
through.
like what he was saying.
Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear about Adventure On and go through some of our finishing up segments. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back. Just heard about your fantastic trip on the John Muir Trail, trip of a lifetime. It is one of the most beautiful places out there.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
So we heard about Adventure On right at the very beginning of the episode. You alluded to it as that being your full-time passion right now, Astro. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Adventure On? What is it?
So Adventure On, essentially we are a venture giveaway company. And what that means is we want to provide opportunities for people to get outside and have experiences doing things that maybe they don't have available, right? So we want it to be more inclusive. We want, for example, we did we called it the Ultimate Moab Adventure, and we flew 2 people out. They're from Fresno. They came out and we took them down to Moab, all expenses paid. We paid for their flights, we paid for food, we paid for lodging, adventure, all that stuff. And we took them through Moab to some of our favorite spots. And we gave them an experience that, you know, they probably wouldn't have done by themselves, because we have the knowledge to be able to do and experience to be able to do a lot of these adventures, and, you know, canyoneering, rappelling, all these things. So it gave them an opportunity to have that experience. And so we do that through our website, adventureon.us. And when we have an active giveaway going, all you got to do is go to the website, and you can get a lot of information there.
Yeah, I think like at the core of what we're doing is like, we've been so incredibly fortunate, and we've talked a lot today about how impactful and powerful and just life-changing being outside has been for us. And we're really lucky to be able to be in a place where we can start to give that back, because I know a lot of people out there may not have the means, may not have access to it, to doing all these things that we're very fortunate to be able to do. And so I think our hope is to be able to give people these unforgettable opportunities to, like, so this podcast will air after, but we're about to start our winter giveaway, and we're going to do a ski trip out here. We live in Utah, so we have great snow. Well, not now, because, you know, there's nothing out here. Yeah, we will have great snow. But we're going to do, like, if you've always wanted to ski or snowboard, like, let's come out, learn on us. We're going to take you. Like, we just really want to give back. I think that's the core of it. And we have a lot of plans in the future for retreats and networking with some nonprofits, particularly focusing on the BIPOC and queer communities, and really giving access to the outdoors in a way that hasn't been done before.
Fantastic. So how do I check for the winter giveaway? That's on your website?
Yeah, it will be on our website. We'll be launching that around December 10th.
Yeah, so we'll have it on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And it's our second one. So we're hoping it makes it a little bit further in reach. Because when we first get started, everyone's like, are they real? Like, no, we're real. We are. We're really here to help.
And through our social media too, Adventure on Us, we do bi-weekly giveaways, just like gear giveaways, stuff that we love, stuff that we use.
We just gave away micro spikes for winter.
And we want to be able to give back to the community and let them have an opportunity to maybe get some gear, to try something new. You know, if you see something and you've always wanted to do it, like the snowboarding trip or ski trip, and you just never had access to it, like you don't live by a resort, but it's something you really want to do. So we want to be able to offer that to everyone.
Yeah, because it's not, I mean, it is and it isn't. Like outdoors is free, but like if you're getting the gear to keep you safe, to do the things that you want to do, it isn't free. You know, if you like quality gear is not, I mean, like you think about like a backpack, or just like even going ultralight, like that's not even on the table. Like that's so expensive, right? And so that's our hope. That's our mission, is to provide like these unique, affordable, inclusive opportunities to make the outdoors accessible to everyone, no matter where you are, what you're doing in your life. Like we got you covered.
Well, that is fantastic. Thank you for doing that. All our listeners should be going onto their internet and finding Adventure on Us, bookmarking that, and going back on a regular basis, checking out those giveaways.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the next big adventure for Streep and Astro?
I mean, we're getting married.
New Zealand.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the wedding, because we get to go to New Zealand. Good
recovery.
Obviously, like right now the borders aren't open to New Zealand, but we're hoping, because April, still a little bit away, but I think we're getting married. We're gonna do an epic adventure wedding down in Moab, rock climbing, and I want to do the insanity swing. I don't know have you heard of that, Doc?
I have not heard of it, but just from the title, it sounds pretty exciting.
After we're done, Google it.
Okay.
That's what I want to do. I want to do it in a wedding dress. I want him to be in a wedding attire. I want to jump off a cliff and swing like 100 feet. I want to do that.
I would totally do it.
It's really expensive.
Very expensive.
We don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but we're going to do
Got
a bunch of, I mean, it's like we're doing glamping to make it accessible to some of our family. I wanted to backpack and just like go elope in the mountains, but we're trying to include family and make it like a really fun experience. So
this sounds like an epic experience, an epic wedding. If you don't have an officiant yet, I can get my online ordained minister certificate. So
we thought you might say that.
Just let me know. Let me know. Hey guys, you know where we are?
Yes, we're the Pro Tip Insight of the Week.
Yes, that's right, Streep. You didn't fall for it. You knew exactly where we were.
I've been training. You were training.
Yeah.
That paid off.
Oh, I don't know where we are, Doc. A true fan of the podcast.
That's right. So what bit of trail wisdom do you have to share with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better? And this is bonus. We get 2 pro tips, one from Streep and one from Astro.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I'll go.
Okay.
Pro tip. I feel like maybe we can't talk about this too much, but like foot care, like really take care of your feet. And we learned on the JMT that we would take breaks and take our shoes off, take our socks off, soak our feet if we could, let them get some air, really relax them, and then massage them at night, but really like take care of your feet, because that's, make or break it.
That's right. Yep. Excellent pro tip. That's going to be a tough one to beat there, Streep.
I know. I feel like I'm so lame now. I was thinking about this and I was like, what's something that's like so important, that's like a game changer? And I think, I talked a little bit about it, and there's a lot of learning as you go, but I think really educating myself has been a huge game changer. Doing the research and understanding what I'm getting myself into. And so my pro tip is like, take a class or read up, like really like take a Leave No Trace class, take an avalanche class, take like an online, just, it doesn't have to be like something big or expensive, like
an online bivvy class.
Yeah, no, really. Like a quick Google search could have saved me on that one.
All it's going to be is someone throwing the bivvy away.
Well, and I say this because like, I know like I way overeducated myself for the JMT, and like the plan went out the window, but I'm so glad that I knew, because I knew so much about that trail that if anything were to happen, I would know my exit points. I would know, what was coming next and how to navigate it enough to hopefully avoid injury and to take care of it, the trail and myself and Astro, sorry, as well as possible. So I think like that's the biggest pro tip, is like, if you're just getting your foot in the door, or even if you're a professional, if you're trying something new, like take a class, get educated, Google it, figure it out. Everyone's going to have a different opinion, but that way you have enough knowledge to navigate it and hopefully not get hurt.
Some great pro tips right there. Thank you very much. So there you have it. That's it. This episode is just about in the books. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with Streep and Astro. I want to thank them for joining us this week. Guys, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
You can go to Adventure on Us on Instagram, and then our website where we have blogs and merch and all that fun stuff is adventureon.us.
Okay, we got
You
some
have a
merch.
TikTok, but I don't use it.
What kind of merch?
Well,
Oh, look at that. They're representing. Got the
Yeah,
shirt
we
there.
got
So you have to
shirts,
tune into
hats.
you have to tune into YouTube to see what they just showed us.
There it
Yeah.
is.
So we try and do like sustainable thing. Like this is recycled blue screen or something like that is the printing process that's more sustainable. And then so we have shirts, we have hats, we have beanies, tank tops. We are working on hoodies and sweaters. Actually, probably by the time this airs, we'll definitely have that. And then his jerky's on there. And we just partnered with a local, like a small local company, a roasting company
To make coffee.
in Salt Lake that's going to make coffee. And they've got some good programs on like, they do like childcare services for the coffee farmers down there and stuff. It's really cool. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, they go direct to farmer, and then they sponsor their childcare. So the
Mhm.
farmers' families have a place for the kids to be taken care of, and they can go to work.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool program.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me the kids were going to work.
No. Like,
No, it's to keep the kids from doing the work.
Got it.
yeah. So lots of cool stuff on there. We're hoping to get into some technical stuff in the future. But right now with post-COVID, I guess it's still COVID, whatever the world is in right now, the supply chain is pretty all over the place. So we haven't been able to get any sources that are reliable right now we're hoping to do some pretty cool technical gear.
Well, I can see that there's a cup of Adventure on Us coffee in my future, along with my elk jerky. So
Hell
Awesome,
yeah.
man. You're gonna
Yeah.
love it.
all right. Hey, remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which you heard Streep there kind of poo-poo on. Maybe
No, I don't know how you're on TikTok. It's so much to keep up with.
it hasn't taken off yet. I have a few followers. I get an occasional like on my videos, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Too
Yeah.
much. It's too,
Yeah.
it's way too much.
Yeah, it is a lot. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com. Guys, I'm also looking to you to share a recommendation for a book, a movie, documentary, some kind of adventure media to keep our listeners connected to the trail. We're calling this our adventure media recommendation. What do you have for us?
You don't say what I'm thinking you're going to say. I'm going to be so upset.
I'm going to cheat.
No.
Born to
Oh.
Run.
I knew you were going to say that one.
If you haven't read that, so good. And then we just watched a movie last night, but
Yeah, you can't
I'm
do
not
that.
going to say it. I know Streep wants to say it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Born to Run, the book. He actually listened to that on trail.
Mhm.
I was going to actually choose a book because I feel like, okay, fine, I won't choose a book. Journeys North, I read that, and that was incredible.
Yes.
She's in a book.
Yeah.
But-
Scout.
I'm gonna so it's such a good I listened to that on trail. It was incredible. I would say we watched 14 Summits last night.
Oh.
Incredible story. This dude is like a whole nother like superhuman breed. Have you seen it yet?
This is my daughter just told me about it. I think when I got home today from work, it's a guy from Nepal, right?
Yeah. It
And
just
he's
came out.
Nepalese. It's incredible, and it's got, I mean, some faces you'd probably recognize. Maybe you'd recognize in there.
But East Summit's 14.
All the four, yeah.
All the
Yeah.
highs.
So my daughter says, "Dad, you got to get this guy on the podcast." I said, "Well, who is he? What is it?
I know.
What's the name?" So I found him on Instagram, and I followed him, and I shot him a message. We'll wait and
Dude,
see what
that'd be
happens.
so-
I don't know.
That'd be so awesome, man. I will sneak on as well.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Like, I just want to meet him. Yeah, he's a beast, and it's inspirational. And I mentioned earlier, like I'm kind of in the process of training for some mountaineering. Like I want to get into some mountaineering this
both do.
year. Yeah, we both do. So it was really inspiring to see what the human body is capable of, and he really just shows the mental push that it takes to do some of this stuff. So really awesome. 10 out of 10
Okay.
would recommend to a friend.
All right. Some great recommendations. And before we wrap things up, I've got one more segment for you called What Have I Not Asked You That You're Dying to Tell Us About?
Ooh.
Did we miss anything?
I mean, we talked so much. I don't know about we canyoneer a lot, but that's a whole another can of worms to open.
We may have to have you come back on another episode to explore the things we weren't able to talk about tonight just because of time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of adventures.
Okay.
Like you said at the beginning, we're mediocre at everything. So
Okay.
pretty much anything you can think of, we've tried it.
All right. Stick a pin in that. We'll come back to that then.
Sweet.
That is a wrap from the John Freaking Muir studio. Any shout outs to friends and family, guys?
I mean, I feel like we should. I would be really rude if we didn't, right? Hi, Mom. No, yeah, shout out to my family for being awesome, and shout out to our trail family. I know I already shouted them out, but Splash and Mix and Detour and
man,
Later.
Sir Mix a
and,
lot.
Yes, Sir Mix a lot.
You met Detour?
Different Detour.
Different Detour. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
was
heard that podcast and I was like, oh, that's funny.
yeah.
But same reason, she likes to go off trip.
She just kind of
Got it.
wanders
all over the
and then
place.
she comes back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, anywho, yeah, shout out to our trail family, and
Yeah, what's up?
yeah,
Okay. Thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't care. I'm going to have to edit that part. It doesn't even care if all you've got is a bivvy, a hardback novel, and your leather-bound journal with you. The trail is the trail.
yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Everyone.
Yeah.